Hey guys, welcome to WhiskyWise and me, Jason, bringing you whiskey review number 15, where we're going to focus in on the Paul John Oloroso Cask. So we have something rather unique and very exclusive for our review today. So if you're new to Paul John whiskey, I'll quickly introduce you to it. It's an Indian single malt whiskey produced in Goa, and some of them come in tubes like this, like the Brilliant, and also some come like this in a box like the Peated. Now, I've got a couple on the way to me, which are the single casks, which I ordered online. Hopefully they come in the next couple of days, so I can feature them as well in another review, and also I need to edit a review on these two. So, the Paul John Oloroso Cask. It's a new whiskey, if you haven't heard of it. It's going to be released, I believe, in the next month or so, and it's going to be a very unique thing because the first time Paul John are actually experimenting using sherry cask finishes in their whiskey. So, I'm going to put up a little bit of information first about the whiskey whilst I pour myself a dram, and you're also going to see up on screen now a screenshot. I'm going to actually post a screenshot now. So, welcome back. That was the screenshot of the Paul John Oloroso Cask, which I used in the thumbnail. So that's got a little bit of information on it as well. You can pause the video if you want to go back and check it, but it gives you a bit of information about the age and a bit about the whiskey itself. So the Paul John Oloroso Cask is a 7-year-old whiskey. Now, it's bottled at 57.4%, very nice, rich cask strength whiskey. Especially for those of you who love your cask strength stuff, this is going to be straight down your avenue. Now, the casks they do use, because you heard me say 7 years, 3 years of which are in American bourbon barrels to start the maturation process, and the remaining 4 years are finished and matured in sherry casks. So your Oloroso sherry cask. So that's where it gets its 7-year process. Now, the actual distillery is the Paul John Distillery, also known as John Distillers Limited, and it is in Goa, India. So if you haven't been to Goa, India, give it a quick search on Google. You'll see it's a beautiful place, very well known for its lovely beaches. You've got a lot of sun, beautiful sea. It's paradise. So if you haven't been there, by all means, I'm going to be going there next month, and I'll take you guys on my adventure as well. So, the terms of the price, the next thing you must be asking, how much is this whiskey? They haven't specified a price just yet, but that will come out in the next month. And when it does, I'll update it here. And also be sure to check my WordPress because I've done a write-up on this whiskey. So I'll update that as well. In terms of, is it exclusive? Yes, it is. There is only 252 bottles available for this worldwide. I was just given a tweet, so I'm going to do the video again. So that's why I said 252, because if you watch the video, if I posted before, it would have been 180. So 252 bottles worldwide, really, really exclusive stuff. And they've got separate amounts designated for different places. So the UK market has its certain amount, the Americas, Asia, all over the world. So you can imagine only 252 bottles. And I think I know the reason behind this. But also, in terms of colouring, does it have any E150A caramel colouring? No, it doesn't. It's all natural coloured, non-chill filtered. And I'll quickly explain that theory on the amount of bottles produced and the age for it. So, a whiskey in the Scottish climate is not subjected to as much heat as it is in Asia. And there's something called angel share, which is how much evaporates per year. In Scotland, is only 2% of your cask evaporates, whereas when you're in Asia, you're talking about, for example in India, talking maybe the high humidity and heat, you're losing around about 10 to 12% per year. So you're losing that much of your cask per year, so you can't leave a whiskey for 20 to 30 years because you effectively lose the whole cask. So that's why we have a certain amounts and also how much is produced from each cask. So next up, we're going to do the actual assessment of this whiskey. So I'm just giving it a quick swirl, and you can actually see the whiskey is actually holding itself around the glass really, really well. It's actually not even falling down. As it is, it's going ever so slowly. It's I can actually be here for a good 5 minutes and wait for that to go down. So it's very rich in texture and body by the looks of it. So in terms of the actual colour itself, it's got a very, very dark amber. And I'm going to go with more of a deep coppery look to it. It's very, very rich whiskey, and it's all natural colour, which is brilliant. So we're going to get into the nose, and we're going to start nosing this whiskey. So to begin with, on the nose of this whiskey, I'm picking out vanilla, and I'm picking out a very creamy, it's actually making my mouth water right now. It's a very creamy vanilla, which reminds me of vanilla ice cream with little bits of vanilla pod inside. So very, very juicy, very creamy vanilla there. I'm also getting a very juicy character, which I think is definitely that sherry influence. but I'm also getting a slight tropical note, and I believe it's mango. Because what I'm sort of getting at, the way I'm going to describe this is more or less like dried mango slices. If you ever go to the health shop and buy a dried mango, it's like when you open that and you just get that southern smell of the mango, the sweetness, the aroma that comes off. That's what I'm getting from this. It's giving a very, very nice aroma to it. So I'm going to have a second nose, see what we pick up on the second nosing. Wow, that's really serious. It's actually making my mouth water quite a bit. But this one, actually, the second nosing, I'm picking up more of this very heavy sherry influence. You do have a little bit of spice in the background over there, but I'm getting that very rich raisins and very, very rich, heavily raisins, and also a little bit of figs, but a little bit dried figs, so where you can actually just break it open and you see how juicy it is. So, yeah, just to be sure. And in terms of spice, you are getting ever so little spice. It's not very overpowering like some whiskies can be. This one is actually quite gentle. So let's move into the palate next. Wow, that is very, very mouth coating. It's very rich and full body. You definitely get that from initially just the appearance, but then when you put it into your palate, very full bodied on that. And I noticed I didn't put any water in this whiskey. I don't want to change it. I want to taste it how it was produced. But definitely those very rich sherry notes, they're making themselves very evident on the palate. It's like getting raisins, just taking off the actual skins of raisins, just getting the inside. It's very, very juicy and succulent. You're getting figs, and the way to describe this is like you're picking a fig straight off a fruit tree. It's just so fresh. And it's still going. It's like a flavor explosion in your palate. It just keeps developing. This keeps making my mouth water. You do get a little bit of oakiness, and it's like a polished oak, and that stays more or less in the middle of the palate. And there's a little bit of spice there, right at the end. The spice sort of sits on the sides, and I'm getting a mouth-warming spice, and more towards a gingery spice. So I'm going to have a second sip. So, I just have to wait a while for this one, but it just sort of, the spice you get there, it is a gingery spice, to pick off where I left off, but the one thing that I also find is got a little bit of nutmeg over there. And the oakiness is definitely there. It sort of sits right in the middle of the palate. The spice stays on the sides, and the fruitiness just engulfs the whole palate. You do also get a little bit of citrus there again, and it does make itself evident from the actual nosing itself. But this is more a very juicy orange. That was rather interesting. So let's go on to the finish, and then I'll finalise my review on the actual whiskey. So we just got a little bit left. Now I did try a bit of this whiskey a bit earlier on, and that was for my write-up. And one thing I noticed when I did the review earlier on is if you actually wait 5 or 10 minutes after having this whiskey, don't eat anything, you'll actually notice the finish stays around there for a very long time. And one thing I'm noticing right now with this whiskey is the finish is just there. The aroma is in the mouth. It's got a very long finish to it, with a little bit of finesse over there, because the way the orange changes in the palate, it becomes like almost like a, say, an orange honey blossom, if that's such a thing. It becomes a little bit floral and a bit lighter. Really stays there. The actual spice element from it, it actually fades away fairly quickly, and that oakiness does sit there right in the middle of the palate. So that was really, really nice stuff over there. The sherry notes are still there, the fruitiness is still there, still very evident, but that fades and that sort of orange note just stays there and just stays around the mouth. So wow, I think that is about it. I've got a little bit in my glass. So I've got to give my final conclusion on this whiskey, the Paul John Oloroso Cask, and this has actually been a rather interesting whiskey. It started off with a nose which made my mouth water, which was something very unique, because only 2 or 3 whiskies have done that to me so far in the almost 300 whiskies I've actually tasted, and this has been something very, very, very powerful. So, and also another thing, the ABV 57.4, and you don't even feel it on the palate, which is truly remarkable for a whiskey. So very nice, very rich, fruity, maintains its body, not overpowering in spice, just works. And overall, I really enjoy this whiskey, so I have to give it a rating. It does have its very nice sherry elements. Only downside, I believe, in my opinion, is that you've only got 252 bottles global worldwide, and you probably might have to wait a few years to another one, but they're probably going to release a few others in the meantime. So I'm going to give my rating And so I'm going to give it a solid, put that there. Actually, no, let's put this there. Let's give it a 95 out of 100. It's been one of those whiskies that literally have made me say, wow. And as soon as that's released, I'm going to be picking myself up a bottle because it just worked for me. That whiskey has been truly remarkable. So I'd like to say thank you to Paul John, to Shilton, who supplied that, and also another whiskey blogger called OCDWhisky. He's also done a write-up for it. It will be down in the description of this video, his links to his blog and also his Twitter account. So be sure to follow me on Twitter, be sure to subscribe. I'll leave it over here and another video over here probably. But yeah, hopefully you did enjoy the review. By all means, let yourself, if you do get a chance, please do try that. Don't miss out on this opportunity. It is a one-off at the moment, until they do produce many more. So hopefully you have enjoyed the review. By all means, please feel free to drop it a like, subscribe, and this has been Jason from WhiskyWise, and I'll catch you all for the next video.